We are live tonight. We're going to talk Big Fangio Stan. We're going to talk about our offense coordinator and our new, pass game coordinator. We're going to talk about free agency and a little bit of everything else in the middle. So sit back, relax, and let's listen to what Josh McDaniels had to say about our new offensive coordinator.
You've done this job as long as you have, Josh. I want to ask you about Sean Mannion and what you think his biggest challenge will be after 2 years of coaching, taking on being a coordinator and a play caller for the first time.
Yeah, it's, I don't know that there's a perfect timeline for any of that. I think when you get the opportunity, I think it's probably the most important thing that you have confidence in what you want to do and a way to communicate your vision for what you want it to look like, there's a million different philosophies of how to do it well. And what's important is if you just, can you explain to the coaches and the players exactly what you're looking for. So he's been around football a long time. He's done it at a high level, and I'm sure he's going to do his job really well.
How about our quarterback? How about our quarterback? I'm your quarterback. He's a stud. He is a stud. I knew he was going to play that way. I knew it. Don't doubt him. All he does
I'm
is win.
BIRDGANG 31 and I'm fly like an eagle. Hit him low, hit him high like the Eagles. Catch me on a podcast and we only talking Eagles. Dallas still sucks and ain't nothing like the Eagles. I'm one O-line, Jalen Hurts top 5. Run it like Saquon, like I'm down Queen. Always open AJ, touchdown, say. Strap him up like DeJean, sack him up, Zach Bond. On the road to victory, yeah. We gon' watch our Eagles fly. Hit him low, hit him high. Hit him low, hit him low, hit him high. We gon' hit him low, we gon' hit him high. We gon' hit him low, we gon' hit him high. We gon' hit him low, we gon' hit him high. We gon' BIRDGANG 31 is a host, man. Bringing Eagles to your door like the postman. Make some noise if you a real Birds fan. Make some noise if you a real Hurts fan. Yeah.
What up, Eagles Nation? It's your boy BIRDGANG 31 with BIRDGANG Sports Talk. How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's having a great day. We're about to talk Eagles offseason news, and I brought my boy OJ Spivey in the building to talk some Eagles, talk some Birds talk with me. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
No problem. We had you on the truth. That got a little crazy over there with Chris Franklin. And I said, what better person to go ahead and get on here tonight? So let's talk about it, dude. But before we do, shout out to everybody in the building. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. What up, Ian? How's it going today? We got Mrs. BIRDGANG. Happy Tuesday, everyone. We got Daniel with the Happy Tuesday. Hello. So before we get into Eagles talk, I wanted to get your opinion about a couple, NFL things. You know what I'm saying? Because some big things been going on in the NFL. You got coaches going to new places. You go look at a team like Tennessee Titans over there. Now they got an awesome coaching staff over there. You know what I'm saying? With Dabo and who else they had over there? Salas. So they're doing good things right there. Hopefully they'll be a team that can be reckoned with this year. But one thing I noticed I was really mad about was two guys was not selected first ballot Hall of Fame. One being Coach Belichick. Look at the rings. Look at the rings on his fingers. The man's won a lot of rings, and he is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. And obviously the owner, Kraft. I'm not a huge Patriots fan per se, but I still think if you let them got away with the Spygate, if you let them got away with the Deflategate, then you got to just go ahead and give it to them. You know what I'm saying? Don't wait till it's time for them to get honored for doing, winning all them championships and then try to bring that stuff back up to keep them out. How do you feel about it, OJ?
Well, I'll take it back to when Belichick wasn't selected last week, and that almost, broke the internet, so to speak. And, I was surprised in one aspect, but then in another I wasn't. Because you bring up the things as far as Spygate and we don't even have Brady yet because I believe he's up next year. So we'll see if both the Spygate and the Deflategate affects him. I don't think it will, but yeah, it kind of defies logic that someone as decorated as Bill Belichick, essentially the greatest head coach in NFL history, is not elected on the first ballot as far as the Hall of Fame is concerned, the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But I think a distinction still does need to be made because the Hall of Fame is not per se affiliated with the NFL. It is a independent museum, but you do have sports, mostly sports writers and some former players and former coaches on the voting committee where they still cover the NFL or they still work with the NFL in some aspects. But when you look back at it, I think there is some backlash, but it's also a couple things. The voting system has changed over the last couple of years because you have what you have now is coaches, contributors, along with senior members. And when I look at that, and then we also seen some writers actually admit that they didn't put in Belichick or Kraft. Then you have some guys who have been waiting for a long time, and I think this is very fair. Roger Craig, who won Super Bowls with the 49ers. He's also the first running back in NFL history to catch and receive. I'm sorry, to rush for and also gain 1,000 yards in the season, both rushing and receiving. I want to say, excuse me. And then you have L.C. Greenwood, the great defensive end who played for the Steel Curtain Pittsburgh Steelers in the 70s, who I think both are deserving. You have a quarterback, Cincinnati, Ken Anderson. It's probably debatable whether he should be in or not, but I think no question Roger Craig and L.C. Greenwood should be in. But when you factor in all these guys, including Belichick, you would think that Belichick would go in with all these voters. But you also do have to take in consideration that Craig and Greenwood have been waiting for a very long time, and they're seniors. And logic from those writers, a couple of those writers who admitted, they're saying, okay, well, we can put Belichick in the following year because if we don't put in Craig or L.C. Greenwood, who has been waiting 20, 30, even in some aspects, 40 years to get in, they may not ever get in. And by the time they do, they may not be alive. But, Belichick and Kraft are no spring chickens either. But then you also have to include the other aspect of it, the Spygate and all those things, and how vindictive or some of the writers or some of the voters are, and even someone like a Bill Polian, who was an executive, long-time executive for the Colts, and then before that, the Bills. This is before the Patriots got good. But is there any backlash with that? And he claims he doesn't remember this or remember that. But it's kind of crazy to think. But then when you peel the onion a little bit, I kind of understand. But there has to be a way. There has to be a system. They have to change. They're most definitely going to change the system after this go around. But you would think logically that at least Belichick would get in on the first run.
Do you think it's because he's dating a 24-year-old?
I ain't want to go there, bro.
Haters in the building.
I can't get in people's minds. I mean, I try to keep it to football as much as I can. I can't get into people's minds, but everyone's human. I mean, the voters are human. Some of them, they like to tell you that they don't hold a grudge or they're not vindictive or anything like that, but they're all human. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that a couple of them have that in mind. But I mean, they got together after he was a Patriots coach. So, how can you hold that against them? You should. It doesn't mean that
there's always haters out there. So you're doing good in your life. You know what I'm saying? He trying to recreate that, you right there. It didn't help him out coaching over there at UNC, though. It definitely did not help him out coaching over there and you
Yeah,
had
he had a
seen
bad first season. Hopefully, he'll
they
have
do
enough
better
to
this year.
be respectable.
There's a couple of Eagles too I'm thinking about that I wouldn't mind seeing. When are we going to see? Do you think we'll ever see Randall Cunningham or Donovan McNabb? Or like when do we see these
Tho-
guys?
those are good questions. I think Randall should be in just simply from a pioneering standpoint. We never saw a quarterback before him. And he really opened up the doors for people like Michael Vick, Lamar Jackson, and even in some aspects Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
And I love the fact that both of them are close and they have a good relationship. And Jalen really looks up to Randall Cunningham. And McNabb is an interesting case because I've always thought he was borderline, and he basically has the numbers to say that he should probably be in,
the
but
wins too, right?
he's won 9 playoff games. But if you
Yeah,
look at the playoff games that he didn't win, it was on the biggest stage. The 4 championship games, and the Super Bowl. So, but again, you do have guys in the Hall of Fame who never reached the Super Bowl, let alone won one. So it's a
yeah.
curious case with McNabb. So I think he's right there on the fence.
And then they said like they were talking about the debate, with McNabb anyway. Like you said, the fact that he never won the big game, what I'm saying, he always kind of flared out at the end. And the fact that, but he has the numbers and definitely should be in there just off of the numbers alone. Like you said, there's people with less numbers than he has. To win, to go to 5 straight NFC championships. What you talking about? Jim Kelly, he's in the Hall of Fame, right? Jim Kelly was in there pretty
He's
fast
in the
too.
Hall of Fame, 0 for 4 in Super Bowls, but he didn't miss.
McNabb didn't have no Andre Reed, Thurman Thomas, Lofton. McNabb had none of those cats when he went.
That's a good point. And all those guys are in the Hall of Fame as well. So
Yeah.
that's a great point.
T.O. 1 year, that's the year, the second, the last time when he actually went to the Super Bowl. But even then, McNabb made miracles. He made bread. He made wine out of water over there in Philadelphia with those receivers that he had. Kingston, Brad. Who are these guys?
You got to excuse me. My alarm is somehow going off in my building. So,
hey, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Background noise. Sorry, fans, but sometimes it does happen. But and even who else we said? Right? You said Randall Cunningham definitely should do it. He changed the game. Michael Vick, maybe you should go ahead and give it to him because he didn't change the game. Worked hard and did good. You gotta give him credit. Like you think Fletcher Cox is gonna be a Hall of Famer, that he's gonna be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Kelsey. These are like Eagles that are
with Fletcher Cox, but I think he makes a good case because if you look at his numbers, he was pretty dominant for a significant amount of time in his career, probably most of his career. So I think Fletcher Cox is a good case to where he should be, if not initially, he should be in eventually.
Yeah, sure. All right, well, yeah, like I said, I think that was a slight to Kraft, and because like next year you gotta slight Brady. I don't care that he owns a team. I don't care that he's on TV every weekend. I don't care that what I'm saying, he's the Wonder Boy. But if you're gonna do that to the owner and to like the Hall of Fame, like you said, he is the best coach of all time. Like no one can really touch him for real. For Andy Reid, but even Andy's not as good. Andy's great. I think Andy's one of the best coaches of all time for sure. But he's not the best coach of all time. You can go back to the Niner days, but those guys, you see all those rings he had on his finger? Like those guys didn't win that many games. I'm saying that many Super Bowls. Well, he has 7 of them. They're like the Michael Jordan of freaking football over there in terms of head coaches. And, like you got to do it to Tom, and then people would outrage about the situation. Or maybe that's the reason why, because they knew they wanted to do it, but they knew Tom Brady's next year, so they didn't want to do it now. They want to wait, go ahead and do it to Kraft and Belichick, let them take all the heat. So then next year, because you hear him already talking about, we're going to investigate this and make sure that we get rid of everybody that was participating in any kind of foul play type stuff. Like you only saying it now, so next year when you let Tom Brady go first ballot, you already had your excuse built in. So it's kind of crazy how the NFL works sometimes. Another one
Yeah.
I wanted to get to you was, what do you think about this right here? Refs should have to do press conferences. That was another big one I brought about. You know what I'm saying? Like with all the missed calls, right? And all the game changing freaking plays that happen in the NFL, especially in the playoffs, you know what I'm saying? Like that's when win or go home and you're letting a team get away with certain stains. And that probably causes the end of the game reaction. You know what I'm saying? Like I think if you make an outrageous call, you definitely should have to go to the press conference after the game and talk about
Well, I don't agree the with the thought that um, any refs for any sport, should have a press conference. One of the things that happens if there's a contract that already happens is during the game, and there were a couple controversial calls during the Eagle season, right? So what happens
it.
is if there is a questionable call or controversial call, what they will do is they have what's called a pool report, to where there's always a designated pool reporter at every game, and what that pool reporter will do is he will go to the ref's locker room or outside the locker room, and he will have a conversation with the referee, and he'll ask the questions about whatever calls were controversial, and then he'll be quoted as such. That's made available, and then they try to explain. And I know most of the times it's explained to where it's, oh yeah, well, they got it wrong anyway, so it doesn't matter, won't change anything. But I do think officials should be, first of all, for their own safety, for one. I think they should be protected in that aspect, to where press conferences aren't necessary. I think pool reports are enough, because you know when you get to a press conference, they're going to be elongated. They're going to be certain questions where it maybe has nothing to do with the game. And I think the less we know about refs, the more, as far as I'm talking is concerned. But I do think, and I think this is something that all the leagues should do. I think you need to humanize the referees, humanize the officials, as far as just doing more features on them, maybe a little bit of social media, getting to know who they are a little bit, not necessarily in front of the media per se, but
Mhm.
just getting to just know them, who they are, because some of them are interesting dudes. What they do for a living. I know most of them aren't full time. Maybe they should be full time. But I think if the NFL and the other leagues, if they um, had more of a campaign to like try to humanize these guys, they wouldn't be scrutinized as much, and maybe they'd be a little more relaxed to make the right calls. But I don't necessarily be at the press conference, but I do think they should do more to humanize them.
Or maybe not like all of them press conference, just the one that the call the play. You know what I'm saying? Like the one that called the play, you got to go out there. You got to talk about it. Not everybody, just you, my guy. We want to know what the hell you were thinking when you made that call. And you say protection, like we can protect these guys. Like I feel like with a lot of allegations about like sports gambling and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even gonna get into that. But with all that stuff said, like there has to be some kind of answer to the fans. We're not, a lot of us are even at the stadium at the time, you know what I'm saying? Like not like we have, trying to watch our team from home, on our TV channels or whatnot. And we have no control over it. We see our team get screwed. We should hear from the guy that screwed our team, why he screwed our team. Like, like it's just like common courtesy to us. Like, hey guys, what I'm saying? We spent all day watching this. At the end of the game, you called a play that was totally ridiculous. You hear like how I love how they go into what's his name? What's his name in freaking New York? The head guy. What's that guy's name again?
Are you talking about the refs that are on television, or are you talking about the commissioner?
The commissioner, the referees, the one that's be in New York, they're like, oh, what do you think about this call? And then he'd be like, well, I think it's
Sierra
fine.
and
Yeah.
Dean Blandino, all those guys.
Yeah. They're like, I don't
They're
think
really
that's
not in New York. They're really in the booth with those guys, or they're from Well, yeah, they might be in New York if it's like NFL Today, or they're out in Los Angeles if it's Fox and all those things. So, but they're retired. They're not affiliated with the
No,
NFL.
the head of refs right now. You
Oh,
don't be
Walt,
seeing
I know
it.
what you're talking about. Walt Anderson. They, I think his name is Walt Anderson, if I'm
Yeah,
not
they be
mistaken.
like, hey, they go to him and he be like, okay, this is what I actually see, and this is the correct call. And whether they call it correctly, like he says, or not, he'd be like, yeah, I don't know why they called it that way, but it is what it is. But it's like, I would definitely not have called it that way. So you're like watching it live from your TV, hearing the commissioner say that was a bad call, but it doesn't get changed on TV. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't get changed there. It's like, how can the commissioner be right here talking about it? And it doesn't get changed on TV like that. And if that's the case, you need to stand up for it. Come up to the microphone and be like, listen, this is what I saw. This is why I called it like that. I'm sorry if you don't agree, whatever. But that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? We can move on from that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it'll put a little bit more accountability on the refs, man. Like this year specifically. You think about the season, man. There's a lot of bad calls, like lots of them. I know every year there's a lot of bad calls, but it seemed like this year was a lot more bad calls that were like dramatic to the game. You know,
Yeah, I agree. It was a lot of calls, but I think what happens is, because of the advent of a couple of things, social media, and being that gambling is just so prevalent now, and you can do so much and so much money, millions, if not billions of dollars, is so much riding on the scores, the team, the touchdown, even like on first downs. You can gamble about so much, and when things don't go your way, you might have a fan who's saying, okay, well, that just cost me $5,000. And then we're not even talking about fantasy football. And
no, I play fantasy football, and I tell you, there be some calls sometimes that cost me big money, and I'm like, what is wrong with you?
well, that takes it beyond the fan aspect, though, because if you're worried about fantasy football more than your team winning, you're kind of rooting against yourself. Because if the Eagles are playing the Cowboys and you have CD Lamb on your squad, that makes
Nah, man. The one thing BG would never do. I don't be drafting none of them NFC East guys. I don't care how good
that's
you are.
you. That's
You can
you.
be the best NFC East player of all time, and I'm not drafting.
Well,
CeeDee Lamb is
are
not
you trying to
drafting
win your
millions
league?
in
Are
my
you trying to win
draft.
your league though? Are you
Huh?
trying to win your league?
Yeah, I win my league, man. Like I went to the championship the last 2 years of my league. Me and
Okay.
JC got a league, you know what I'm saying? But we do like everything, man. Like we do two quarterbacks. We do like skill position players, like 8 of them things. You know what I'm saying? Like we got defensive players, every defensive position. You know what I'm saying? We got to get players for all. So, sometimes maybe the defensive players that actually get you, the most points. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people try to go offense. It makes the draft a lot strategic. Because like a lot of people like to go offense and worry about that, but in the first couple of rounds, I might grab the best defensive player in the league just off jump. You know what I'm saying? Just to get him on my roster. Maybe like, round 3, 4, just because like I know he's gonna produce points. You know what I'm saying? Like the way they could calculate points, like you get a Miles Garrett, he's gonna get you sacks, that's big points. You're gonna get tackles. You know what I'm saying? Like the elite defensive players in the league gonna get you some points in all positions, cornerback, safety, your linebacker, Zach Bond, awesome guy to have, fancy too, you know what I'm saying? But well, linebackers more tackles too. So like, it is what it is. Like it's a pretty good league, and you know,
Your system, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a great question though, because I know some fans would love to see a press conference with a referee and everything to give some aspect, but still, you still ask yourself, would that change the outcome of the game? Would that change the way you feel as a fan about the outcome of the game?
if he came with a logical answer, like what happened, he says, from my perspective, I seen the cornerback had his hand on top of the receiver's right forearm. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he's like, from my angle, that's what I seen. So I was not looking at the ball when the ball's coming or not. All I seen was at that moment he was doing something illegal. You know what I'm saying? Like he
Yeah.
get like that's what you get paid to do. Like you know the rules. That's the reason why you threw the flag in the first place. It's like
Well, I remember an interview. I was listening to an interview with well, he's actually the rules expert on CBS now, Gene Steratore. So for Eagles fans, he should be very familiar because he officiated Super Bowl 52.
yeah.
And remember the two maybe controversial calls, the one with Corey Clement.
Yes.
He caught the ball. He kind of carried it one hand. It was a question whether he had both feet in bounds, right? 1 foot to second foot. And then one which was a lot less controversial. Well, Chris Collinsworth tried to make controversial, but what turned out to be the game-winning touchdown was Zach Ertz. And, did he make a football move before he crossed the goal line and bobbled the ball? But the play's over, and once he crosses the goal line, it doesn't matter if he lands because he had already made the football move. But going back to Gene Steratore, they were asked some questions, and he had already retired since then. And he would tell his guys, and quote, I'm paraphrasing here, but quote, he said, "Fish for sharks, not minnows." So take that for what you will. So he said he told all his guys just fish for sharks, don't fish for minnows. So I interpret that as that, okay, don't be ticky-tacky, but search for what calls that might be blatant. So it's in about and it's something that I'll probably research more and maybe write about at some point because I think it's interesting. I don't think the NFL will never do it. If you're even when you have security or you have Big Dom or somebody walking the ref, back and forth for the press conference, the locker room, it's still fans down there, man. So you never know. Folks is crazy.
Oh, not crazy, but still, like as a reporter yourself, journalist yourself, how would you like to go to the rep after a freaking game blowing freaking call at the end of the game that cost you? I know you gotta be biased about it, but just to be honest, be able to tell them because you already know that Philly's blowing up or another city's blowing up because of it.
Well, I'm different. I'm not one of those reporters where I have to grill somebody where I'm holding congressional hearings or anything like that. So I'm not that type of reporter. For me to pull report is enough because I know ultimately I also look at this too. I mean, as bad as we see controversial calls, and it's fun to talk about because they'll have shows with like top 10 controversial calls ever and all that stuff. It's all fun, subjective, all those things. But from my standpoint, when I watch a football game, it's never just one play, even if it's just the ref and all. Like you look at the championship game, Denver versus New England, before the snow came, and they totally botched that backwards pass, right?
Yeah.
And because they stopped it, that prevented Denver from a touchdown, but they still eventually scored. So, but I still think that games are 99% of the time not decided on one single play. You remember BG the Super Bowl year when the Eagles lost at Washington and Devontae Smith dropped that ball.
Yeah.
Everybody was trying. I wasn't there. I wasn't in DC because I don't travel for the games. But everybody was trying to grill Devontae Smith about, okay, why did you drop the ball? How did you drop the ball? What happened when you dropped the ball? And you know what he said? I just need to catch the damn ball. I dropped it. I just need to catch the damn ball. Yeah. It's as simple as that. Everybody was trying to look for maybe some type of psychological thing. Did he lose focus? I mean, when a player loses focus, you can see that. It's obvious. He takes his eye off the ball. He tries to run before he catches it. Devontae said, listen,
obvious.
I dropped the goddamn ball.
You already knew what he did. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what he did at home. Like, why'd you do it, though? That's like the real question. Like, that's the only question you can really ask them. Why'd you do it then? Like, in that moment, why'd you do it? Like, AJ in a freaking playoff game, dropping balls left and right.
Yes. But for me, again, I'm different, and sometimes I get criticized for it and everything. It's like, okay, why? When I say why, I mean we can kind of ask the why in a different way. or I can. But if I'm asking you, okay, why did you root out the ball? It's like, okay, I'm asking a 5-year-old, why did you spill the milk? So I take a different approach with that. I try to say, leading up to that, or I'll ask, okay, what was the play to where had you caught it, would have been a touchdown, or maybe think about it from a psychological way. But like I said, I think it's an interesting question. So
Yeah. The Pro Bowl was today, man. Eagles ended up with this many Pro Bowls. What's that? 6 Pro Bowlers. You know, obviously Jerry was an alternate, Carter was an alternate, and Jalen Hurts was an alternate. But Quinion and Cooper DeJean and Bond, man, like how's that for Bond being all pro back to back? What I'm saying? No one expected this special team player to be that guy. And he's been that guy. That was my biggest question. We talked about that a little
great
bit on the show.
story here.
Like, is he gonna be able to do it 2 years in a row? You know what I'm saying? Like, and now he's improved it 2 years in a row that he's that guy. That begs the question though, are we bringing Kobe Dean back? You know what I'm saying? Like, that is the biggest question. Like, how do you feel about Nakobe Dean? First off, before I play this clip, because I got a clip to play about this one. Before I play it, tell me how you feel about Nakobe Dean's, staying with the team. I was gonna go, pattern the right way that everybody's talking about what they're talking about today, but you had me go off on a whole nother tangent here because I want to do the show a little different than I was actually starting. But I want to know about Nakobe Dean.
Man, I think. Well, let me set it up this way. I think Nakobe is so instrumental and so important to that defense. The biggest thing has been his injuries. I know that's a big factor, but when I tell you that Nakobe is important to that defense, he's important to Big Fangio. There's a reason why they put him back out there when he was injured, and he kind of like they kind of like put Campbell on the shelf a little bit because Nakobe Dean, he's a great athlete. He's incredibly intelligent. I mean, he's still going back to school for his career in mechanical engineering at Georgia. So to go to show you how smart he is. But I think the injuries is a factor.
Yes.
And when you think back last year when they won the Super Bowl and you saw him, on the sidelines trying to be a part of the team and everything and cheering with them and stuff. And I can tell you straight up, they wanted to win that Super Bowl as much for Nakobe Dean as anyone in that organization on that roster. That's how much he is beloved. That's how much they admire him in that locker room, in that organization. But that said, they did draft Jahai Campbell for a reason in the first round. So some people say it was insurance for Nakobe Dean if he never came back from his injury. But it's going to be tough because what is that number going to be on a free agent market? And one of the things that you got to look at, it seems logical. I don't know. I don't think it's a slam dunk that he will probably go there. But with Christian Parker going to Dallas and being the defensive coordinator down there, I would think that, he's telling Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, all those guys, keep an eye on Nakobe Dean because he will probably revitalize that defense. And that's where Dallas were hurting the most. That's probably why they're not in the playoffs.
Yes.
They're not in the playoffs. Defense. So do I think
video about that too? Like, that's one thing I don't want to see happen in the Kobe Dean Cup. Like, you think about it, a lot of these guys right now.
As much as I try to stay neutral, I don't want to see him in a Cowboys uniform either.
No, I don't. Because what you said is true about Nakobe, right? He is a huge part of this defense. When he came back, he stopped that run game for all the teams we played against. You know what I'm saying? Like, he brought that force back to the defense. Right. But at the end of the day, the Rook, I know he had I think it was like 1 or 2 game-winning touchdowns on his head, right? But the Rook was defensive player of the year caliber. And Nakobe Dean's like the early season starts as a rookie, he was like the defensive year caliber type player. before you brought Jacoby Dean back, where people were actually questioning, are you going to actually have Jacoby start again, or are you going to have him come off the, bench because Campbell is playing good? The thing is, as a rookie, the first couple of games, he was not, executing a run game like he needed to. Pass game, I felt like he did good, even though there was a couple of passes was on his head. It's like still, it was like effort plays where like he kind of made the wrong decision. Like you jumped too soon. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't have jumped. You should have just ran through. Try to make tackle that way. You jump though. You know what I'm saying? Like so you messed up. So like those are simple rookie mistakes. That I think that you gotta let him slide with. But other than that, this dude was like one of the best linebackers in the game. Like then, and then Kobe comes back and you don't see him for a couple of games. Then Kobe goes back out again, and then you see him come back again. And now it's like I feel like that second time he came in when Jahad Campbell came in, his run defense was a lot better. You know what I'm saying? Like he actually started filling those holes. He's still a, rookie. Like I think this offseason, I hope he's in the weight room right now, even getting bigger, faster, stronger. You know what I'm saying? Like, but he started filling up holes in a run game where it was like, obviously you knew from what Nakobe did the first time to our defense, dramatic change, that Nakobe was going to start again once he got healthy again. But the guy's a baller. He's got an off season. So it's like the Eagles, like, are you really going to try to re-sign a player? Because he deserves it. We got to talk about what he deserves. Like the Kobe Dean deserves like at least a 4-year deal. You know what I'm saying? Like he's that guy, on your linebacker. If you can keep him healthy, he's one of the best linebackers in the game right now. You know what I'm saying? Nice linebackers.
Pick and a controversial pick back then because people was like, okay, well, it was a gamble for them. They thought he was a bit undersized, all those things. So, I think it's going to be tough to bring him back because, they do have to start paying people. I mean, Jalen Carter is now eligible for an extension. It's a good thing that they have Jordan Davis, on picking up his 5th-year option. Do they want to allow that to happen with Carter? That remains to be seen. I probably think not. But they're gonna have to start paying some of these defensive guys, and they also have to keep money on the table. Well, the good thing is, the salary cap keeps going up, and the salary cap is well over $300 million this year. So, I mean,
and if you go on that note, if you go back like 2 years of what I was talking about the NFL, like when everybody's all freaking out, oh, salary cap, we're not gonna be able to afford play. I'm like, guys, it's about to go up like $25 million a year. On average, what I'm saying? Like pretty much around that range. That's what they said the cap should be going up every year. And it's been doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like the Eagles save 2 or 3 more players. I think the NFL is trying to get it to be more like where you can keep your top players for a little bit longer, as opposed to like players moving every single season. Like you actually can have the money to like re-sign these players. Like a Jalen Phillips this year. Are we signing Dallas Goedert back? Jahan Dotson back. These are key players to this offense right now and defense right now. And I feel like
it's big decisions, and Phillips is another one. I mean, what is he going to command on the open market? All those things.
A lot because he played good with us.
Yeah. And are the Eagles going to, put all that money up, knowing that they have to, still pay other guys? But again, with the salary cap that keeps going up, and here's another interesting aspect too. And I think people need to understand, because the Packers are still a publicly owned company, they have to reveal how much revenue they get. So we know every year how much these teams get because the Packers always have to report their TV revenue. So
I think, let me see. Is this it? Let me see.
Right. So yeah, that's some of the most expensive defense. But from a TV revenue standpoint,
no, that wasn't the one. That wasn't the one. Hold on.
From a TV revenue standpoint,
Damn it, that's the defense one. Where's the other one?
Commensurate to the salary.
I have the one. It felt like the Eagles. We like made the second lowest. Here it is. With home attendance, that means like people, that means money, that means everything. Second lowest.
That Fox one is a bit misleading though, because you have to factor in how many what the capacity of the stadiums and everything like that. So
No, that was a big point about like our stadium, because that brings the next thing too. Like should
Eagles, the Link is actually one of the smallest stadiums in the NFL.
Yeah, I didn't know that until I seen that. Cause I was like, I've been in the Link, and I'm like, damn, this is nice, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But if
basically
you think about it, like,
69,000, where you have other stadiums like MetLife, they hold 80,000.
Cowboys,
90,000. So
yeah,
so they're
like,
one of the smallest stadiums. That's probably why Glory is looking at a new one.
And that's a different reason, but like that's another reason why Lori wants to, get this stadium thing going, and I think like he needs to get the stadium thing going. I didn't even know that we were that shitty, to be honest, like in terms of like home attendance, because I go to the home games all the time, and I'm like, I'll be tailgating, I'll be seeing everybody hypey in the motherfucking stadium.
Game, but you're only talking about up to 69,000 people.
But I will tell you, I did go to the LA Chargers game this year, and that stadium is way bigger than our stadium. Like that's a whole nother level.
That's a whole nother thing. Because you're talking about
right. When we were like walking and walking and walking and walking, like, what's going on here? Double layers of freaking stuff to go on. It was crazy. Like I will give them props. Like even though they say like home games aren't that big for them still yet, because there's two teams and neither
they built that stadium basically for the Rams and for the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is going to be there every 5 years. So,
and now Lori wants the Super Bowl in Philadelphia, so it's time to get a new stadium. Like I think they need to go ahead and do it.
He's going to get a new stadium. Fine. I don't want to pay for it because I'm still a Philadelphia resident.
He's like taxes, my guy.
Exactly.
Taxes.
But here's the thing: the whole Lori wants the Super Bowl and everything. That's an illusion, because you know why? If he does get one, it's going to be one and done. And most of the times when these colder weather cities get a Super Bowl, it's because
not if he does the renovations, or not if he does.
Even if he does the renovation, just the climate and everything is just not conducive for Super Bowls. They really want to keep them in warmer weather climates where they don't have to worry about snow. They don't have to worry about the cold weather. The Meadowlands, that was an anomaly. Minnesota, that was an anomaly because the stadium was still relatively new, and that was the reward for getting a new stadium done. And it's not coming back to Minnesota anytime soon. It's not even in the rotation. So that's if it does happen, and there's no guarantee,
it's not going to be a thing for the Eagles. Like new stadium or not,
there's no guarantee that he would have even one. So that's really, you don't want to ride that.
Philadelphia and February is not that bad.
Well, you've been here during this winter, right?
Yeah, it is going bad right now. I think you
never know. I mean, I was.
The stadium's so close, though. The stadium's so close right now to the airport. It depends where you're.
If we had that snowstorm on a Super Bowl Sunday, how are people going to get there? And the stadium is not downtown like every other.
They're $1 billion industry, like $1 trillion industry, probably. They can get snowplows out there and get it done.
Philadelphia doesn't have the infrastructure actually for Super Bowl. They don't.
Well, right now they don't. But that's the whole point. They want to make a dome. But I don't want them to make a dome. I want it to be like more of like a retractable dome, and you don't have to have it, closed.
Well, here's the thing.
I want to be able to have like normal climate games too. Where it's snowing out there and they can go out there and play, but you have better control over it because you can control the heat inside there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
think about this. Look at all the retractable roofs around the NFL. Think about the percentage of how many times you see them open during a game.
Never.
So what's the use of having one?
You don't do it because you want to give your fans the most. You just gotta be an owner that be like, hey, fans, if I hear you guys say you guys want snow game, I'm gonna give you snow.
All for all this glorious stadium stuff, because you know why? the taxpayer always gets the bill, and the owners, they get richer, and they were paying for tractable roofs that don't even stay open most of the time. So, this is kind of things that I look at as a reporter, as a journalist, even as a fan. Even in Atlanta, a place where it's warm just about all the time, they have the roof closed probably 85 to 90% of the time.
Right.
So that's something to think about.
Something build a team that way that play better on like turf and dome type atmospheres as opposed to the weather. You know what I'm saying? Like you get people from California playing on your football team. You want warm weather games as opposed to like you get some guys that actually play in the East Coast that they don't care about.
I'm gonna give you one more thing. How many franchises who call their dome stadium, who play their home games in a dome? How many NFL franchises have won a Super Bowl?
Patriots outside?
Who have a dome stadium that has won a Super Bowl?
Oh, the Saints. They got a dome.
That's one.
Okay. The Ravens, right?
No.
They don't have a dome?
Nope, not the Ravens. It's open air like the Link.
Who else has won the Super Bowl recently? The Cowboys.
No.
When they won, they didn't have a dome.
They didn't have a roof.
They didn't?
So I'm gonna tell you, they played in Texas Stadium. So
yeah, that's not.
So I'm gonna tell you. I'm trying to think of the four myself.
I'm not thinking. You got me going right now. I'm like, what? That's a huge fact right now.
Saints.
How many? Oh, Rams.
Colts.
And
there's the fourth team. I'm trying to think of them.
Wasn't the Ravens? Oh man.
No, the Ravens playing open air stadium. So I'm trying to think of the fourth team. Somebody who's watching or listening, they could think of it. Oh my gosh, it escapes me now.
There's only 4 teams though.
It's only been 4 teams. So Rams, Saints, Colts, and oh gosh, it's gonna kill me thinking of the 4 teams. But it's only been 4. My point of emphasis, it's only been 4 dome teams that have won a Super Bowl. Atlanta almost did it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
almost did they got to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so but only 4 teams have won it. So, and the Rams is
made me realize now. I was really on the board with him doing this and building this stadium. That's also my, when I seen it in LA or like Dallas or one of them places. Like maybe we would have a stadium like that with all the luxury stuff that comes with those stadiums.
And that's all it's for. It's for the rich, it's for the wealthy, and it's for the owners to pack their pockets because all they want to do is just build more suites.
But even for the fans too, though, because I enjoyed being in LA because of all the amenities they have. You have the YouTube freaking thing right there on your property. You know what I'm saying? Like YouTube podcasting. Right there on the
I haven't been to LA for the stadium, so I got to go there and check it out.
Yeah. I just went. Like you got that right there. There's literally layers of stadium. It was weird. Like I thought, like you go in and you think you're on an opening floor. You're really like a floor or 2 up. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not even on the opening floor when you walk into the stadium.
Yeah, I saw they dug deep in the hill to build that stadium, huh?
Yeah, man, it's nice. And they did like the entrances. There's like 3 different entrances you can go in there. Like like your main entrance, like you want to show the fans everything. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to show, you going big, and it's like all the entrances kind of going big. And we were walking around the stadium. It took so long to get around the stadium, and it was like, this place is awesome. So many private bars. It's not just like VIP type stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's a VIP there. You know what I'm saying? Like you can be a VIP if you want to go over there and go into that bar. It kind of like brain, like where everybody can do whatever you want. It has to everything for everybody. If you don't have that much money, there's floors basically and there's sections for that. If you got money, there's definitely sections for that.
So it's still accessible for the working man.
Yeah. and because I am a working man, I was very successful.
I am too. Don't get it twisted.
I am a working man for sure. But let's get into some of this ego stuff. We've been on here. We didn't even, I said this was gonna be like a 10, 15-minute conversation. You know, we kind of dabbled into the ego, but we're pretty much talking about everything. There's a couple of big issues I want to talk about with you real fast before we get you out of here. First off, like we talked about this AJ Brown situation, man. You know, like I made a couple of videos. I don't know if you watched them or not, but you'll go check them out if you haven't. You know about Mr. AJ Brown, right? And they got some really good views. It's like I think fans have a perspective of AJ Brown that goes both ways. You know, some fans love him, some fans hate him. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not even the. I feel like the ones that hate him really don't really have credibility to hate the man. Because I'm gonna tell you this: all season we seen him working out with everybody. He's working out. He works hard to be the great. But there is something you gotta think about, man. I hated the fact AJ came in week 3. You know what I'm saying? And he was bitching already. You know, I seen him bitch last year. I didn't want to see him bitch by week 3. Like, come on. Like, that was really set me off for the season with him. You know, and then you do all this talking. Once we start giving you the ball, we start losing. We get to the playoffs, you know, you draw 3 big passes. It's like, whoa, my guy, what the hell is going on? And I have my boy Tom, you know, Tom Stace. Shout out to Tom, you know, on Twitter. Definitely drops a lot of Eagles content over there. Go follow the guy. He was just talking about like, you know, maybe it's just like his mental health in terms of like he needs to find that next fan base to love him. You know, like we have Devontae Smith. What AJ Brown wants to do is not going to happen on Philadelphia Eagles. We have Saquon Barkley, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and even if he goes, I'm pretty sure we're going to get another good tight end to replace him, like we did Ertz in the first place. So it's like you hear fans talk about like if he didn't have Devontae, he can have those numbers. You know, but we do. So this team is not AJ Brown accessible because if you're going to be a nuclear, you know, a freaking distraction for the football team, think about how much distraction AJ Brown took this year. How many headlines was AJ Brown center? You know what I'm saying? Like if you're going to be that guy,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I'm saying? If you're going to be that guy, then you need to really think about, you know, like going to a new team. And we hear it came out. He asked for a trade after week 3. Remember when I said you shouldn't be coming out week 3 to freaking be crying, and then you even still got some passes? He asked for a trade after week 3. So it's like, I hate to be the dead horse, but I think it's time for him to go. You know, like, and they were just saying this too, you know what I'm saying? Like, it says reports Eagles receiver AJ Brown is expected to take a mental health section unless the Eagles trade him to another team. That right there is some huge news. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care who you are. Like, that's a big deal. You know what I'm saying? You think about who his family member is. You think about his cousin, Mr. Antonio Brown. You know what I'm saying? Like, what he did his last game as an Eagle. I mean, not as an Eagle, as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Throw your shoulder pads off, go crazy, and just dance. And you know what I'm saying? Like, those guys really do, you know, they have some mental health issues, you know what I'm saying? Like, it seems like it's in their family. I hate to be that guy. I'm not trying to, you know, lowball them or nothing. But that being said, if he stays, should he take this course? You know, should that be a stipulation for you? Because a lot of the things that he cried about, like, AJ Brown's been a Pro Bowler, All Pro every year except for this year, you know, with a shitty offensive coordinator. So you have no right. You are considered the best. Eagle fans call you the best. You know what I'm saying? Like, receiver in the game. So what is that itch that's not being scratched for you? And that kind of happened, you know what I'm saying, with his cousin, Antonio Brown. Antonio was the best receiver in the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was the best. Catching everything, doing everything. And it still seemed like it never was good enough to him to the point where he's like, you know, I'm not getting it every single day. I'm out of here. You know, I'm out of here. And he did this on the Titans. Derrick Henry was the main focus there. Run game. AJ Brown was still going to, Pro Bowls, still considered one of the best receivers in the game. But he still wasn't happy, And like Tom said in our last show we did, I think we did like last week, maybe he just needs that feeling of a new fan base to love him, a new fan base, and he got to be on a team that don't have a number one, number two. Like everybody loves Jamar Chase. Everybody loves Justin Jefferson. But their number two is not Devontae Smith. You know what I'm saying? Addison's not Devontae Smith. T. Higgins is not Devontae Smith. T. Higgins is good. He's not Devontae Smith good. Devontae Smith is literally a number one. Won games for us as a number one type receiver. And I just think that subtle little change can help him out mentally, and get to where he wants. Go to a team that has like a Higgins or an Addison, a number two that will make big plays, but not carry 1,000-yard season. You know what I'm saying? Like, not guaranteed 1,000. Devontae's guaranteed 1,000 if you're throwing on the ball. And if you're not throwing on the ball most of the time, that's a crime. You got to throw both on the ball. They both got to eat. If you're not working that in your offense, that's a crime. Because there are two number one receivers on our football team. So, the mental health issue is like, maybe it's like in his head, he thinks he'd rather go to a losing team or a different team if he's going to get the 20 targets, the 200-yard games, the, leading the league in receptions in. That's really what he's saying he wants. You want to lead the league in receptions and yards and touchdowns. All of them. And that would never happen in Philadelphia. So does the Eagles continue to try to nurture him? Correct. Try to get these coordinators in, talking to them like, we need you on the team for their own benefit, which is their benefit for sure. You keep him on the team, he's a freaking all-star, But if he's going to be on a team, it'd be detriment to the team with the negative energy. You know what I'm saying? Like, is it worth it?
Yeah. It's very layered and multifaceted, and beyond all the rumors and all those things, the whole mental health season, none of that has been substantiated. That's whole rumor or anything. So I won't kind of speak on.
He came out and said he has mental health issue. He came out publicly and said that before.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, just that one report that that's been circling around this evening and all. But but he's been a great advocate. I give him credit for being a great advocate for mental health and all. But as you said, when he started speaking out about getting the ball, they were undefeated, and you look back on it, and again, I try not to single one aspect over another as far as a team underachieving or not reaching their goals and all those things, because there's always multiple factors involved. But I talked about it then. They were undefeated. I know it didn't look pretty, but it's a results-based business. I mean, look at the two teams that's in the Super Bowl. They're not always pretty.
Hey, yeah. Seattle Seahawks, Jackson and Jigba, my guy. That guy is pretty amazing. They make sure they get that. Like, and that was one thing
they do. But, I mean, he's basically their only option, also.
No, Barner had a good year this year. Their rookie tight end got hurt for most of the year. Walker's had a great year this year.
Would you regard their number two with some of the great number twos in the game?
Who's their number two? Cooper Kupp. He is one of the best receivers ever.
I mean, he's not the same player he was when he, before injured, but
he's not no Rams Cooper Kupp for sure.
He's not Rams Cooper Kupp, but
so far in the clutch, they have a good Rams Cooper Kupp.
They have a good overall team, and then you have someone like a Sam Darnold who, as great as they were, they were winning in spite of him because he was turning the ball over. He just happened to play out of his mind in the playoffs where he didn't have not one turnover, which is remarkable for him. But anyway, going back to AJ, I'll just say this. My understanding is a lot of it may not be about football at all. It may not even be about his mental health, right? But I'll say, as far as trading him, it is a double-edged sword because they do need him on this team. And I do think at this point, I also believe that he now wants to stay with the team. He does not want to get traded. But I think it's at the point now to where it's really 50-50 because I believe if Howie Roseman gets the right type of deal, he will trade AJ Brown. So I think that people are saying, there's a slam dunk that he will not be on this team. I still think it's a possibility that he is. It is 50-50, but I think it's all about him. And again, are the fences mended enough to where, not even so much with Jalen Hurts, because I think they are in a good place now. Are the fences mended enough to where the front office will at least keep him another year? But I do think
not even just his receiving last year. His blocking was ass. You know what I'm saying? Like he wasn't.
That's what I was most disappointed in.
When I saw
the last couple games in those plays.
Yeah, man. If you're the captain of the football team, my guy, and that's really the thing too. If you're not the captain, I'm probably not putting as much pressure on you. Just like, oh, you're a talented receiver. You know what I'm saying? Like Deion Sanders was the best cornerback of all time.
That's the players' thing. The players always vote for the captain. So they felt enough about AJ Brown to where they voted him as a captain. But and I think a little bit of that is overrated too. The whole captain's things, and I think
I think he let him down. If you got picked into captain, you got to go 110 every game.
Yeah, I don't care who you are. You cannot miss assignments. And I mean, before this year, both AJ and Devontae Smith, they were phenomenal blockers. I mean, a big reason why Saquon Barkley ran for 2,000 yards, they made some spectacular blocks downfield, or out on the edge to spring him.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, you did do that this year. Even for receptions where Devontae caught the ball and he was right there and he could block, he wasn't putting his effort out. I was speaking about it all year and everyone like, you're hating on AJ, you're hating on AJ. I'm not hating on him. And like what he says is kind of true. The offense is ass, so I can't argue that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously he's mad about that. I'll be mad about that too. If I bust my ass off all off season and I come to an offense that's trash. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not getting me open. That's not running 100,000
of this team when he was traded here. He knew those dynamics, though.
But at the end of the day, in terms of trading him, I feel like Devontae Smith could be the number one by himself, and that would catapult his career. He's the one that's getting 1,000 yards.
But once they trade AJ Brown, this is why I said earlier, this is a double-edged sword. They have to get an adequate. It's not going to be easy to replace AJ Brown.
Do you think Dotson can be number two though? Listen, wait. Let me break it down to you. Remember, y'all always thought I was crazy because you were on the show too. You thought I was crazy when I told you Jordan Davis was going to be the best defensive tackle this year, not Jalen Carter. And Jordan Davis was the best defensive tackle. I'm telling you, Smitty can be a number one as effective. Why do you think AJ's so mad that his numbers aren't where they should be? Because Smitty is there. He's getting 1,000 yards still while you're getting your 1,000 yards. You know what I'm saying? That's two alphas. You know what I'm saying? Like, teams need an alpha and a, you know what I'm saying? Like, and if he's the one alpha
in skill, but not in personality.
What you say?
Alphas in skill, but not personality, because Devontae Smith, he's nowhere near an alpha type of guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Skills.
Yeah.
His personality is definitely like he's chill about it. You know what I'm saying? You hear him sometime at the end of this year. You kind of heard
one of my favorite interviews, actually. So
you heard him come out a little bit, like, he want to do better. But that's just a player. You know what I'm saying? Like, that stuff I can write. He's been the least dramaistic receiver for sure. Imagine him getting not double, obviously, because you want a number 2 that's capable of doing things. And I really feel like the way we misused Jahan Dotson, he's earned it. Resign his ass. Bring him back if you're going to trade AJ. Trade AJ, bring Jahan Dotson so you actually get reception because Jahan showed me last year, if you throw him the ball, he's going to catch it. And he's going to do whatever he can with it.
I still think Dotson is a solid number 3. I don't think he is a number 2.
He go from number 1 to number 3.
But
how you moving from number 2 to 3 when he was number 1 with the Giants, right? And he had his little thing. Off with the Giants. Saquon Barkley stuck with the Giants.
It's a lot involved in there. But my overall point is once they trade AJ Brown, they certainly have to have an adequate replacement for him, whether that's through the draft, whether that's through free agency,
or they give Smitty the ball more. Because Smitty's not a receiver like AJ even.
You can give Smitty the ball more, but
gets him open.
But he's also not as big as AJ Brown. He's not as
look at the Jigma in Seattle right now.
Yeah,
if you got a competent coordinator that can scheme him open, he can do what a Jigma does. And it's not just in Jigma. You think about a lot of these guys, Cooper Kupp.
You're gonna have more,
the guy from Tampa Bay, Ujagi, whatever the boy's name is over there.
Think back to AJ Brown's rookie year. I'm sorry, not AJ Brown's. Think back to Devontae Smith's rookie year.
What about it? He had the most yards for any rookie receiver for the Eagles.
But it wasn't 1,000.
It was almost 1,000.
It wasn't a whole. It was.
You're talking about. Look who he had as his receivers on the side of him. I'm not saying.
Like, well, who are he?
You said this too. You said if he has competent receivers on the side of him, Jalen Rager, I think it's the Whiteside are not competent receivers to put them down here your rookie year.
But you're also assuming that Jahan Dotson is going to be that guy across from him, and I don't agree with that.
Okay, so even if it's not Jahan, I feel like this is my personal opinion. I feel like Jahan can do it. I think maybe the 2 years ago, when we first picked him up, he couldn't do it. 2 years ago when he sat behind 2 of the best receivers in the NFL right now, and he knows what it takes to the last 2 years he's been studying after Smitty, and he's in the same room with Smitty and AJ, both of their game up his game. That he's time for him to blow right now. And I think if you put him at that number 2 spot,
I think you can
but you're giving Smitty more. See, that's the thing. If you let him go, it's only to give Smitty more. You can't let him go and not give Smitty more and try to keep it balanced. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you let him go and you make Smitty your Jigma. You know what I'm saying? That's why I really wanted a freaking Seattle Seahawks coach to come over.
Yeah, that could work. But again, that number 2 receiver is going to be important, and I don't think Dotson.
Who's Seattle's number 2 receiver? You just said that.
Well, first of all, you have to resign Dotson. That's number 1. So if you get rid of AJ Brown, you actually have 2 problems because
he only got 6 receptions in 2 years.
Well, you got to resign Dotson because he's an unrestricted free agent. So I mean. That's 2 issues. So you have to replace 2 spots on your wide receiver position. So essentially, you had to bring in 2 new guys. And who's that going to be?
Shaheed. I heard people talk about Shaheed.
I don't dismiss your logic because I think it's a good logic on your part. But
I think our best blocking receiver will be back next year. Johnny Wilson will be back next year. He was hurt all season. We didn't even see him play. He's our best blocking receiver. Blocking receivers matter. We hated JJ. JJ knew how to block.
I'll say it right now. I'd be surprised if Wilson's on the roster next year.
What?
Mm-hmm.
How? We don't have no receivers.
I mean, it could be for a roster spot, but again, depending on if they still have AJ Brown, whether or whether or not they decide to re-sign Dotson.
Would you trade AJ? Let's just wait. Before you get into this, let's break it down like from your perspective. A, what AJ Brown done, his effect on this football team, is it big enough to trade him? Your opinion.
I would try to keep him one more year. I would. That was just me.
One more year. Okay, so now
Because
giving
the
him one more year.
because of the window, and I think they have just as good, and this is before we even know what free agency is, what the draft is, as is. If they can get that offensive line help back and healthy, I think they still have as good a shot to get back to the Super Bowl as any team in the NFL.
Yeah,
And that would be with
for
AJ
sure.
Brown. And I would give that one more run. And because people are saying, okay, well, if you trade AJ Brown, you're going to get a second round pick for him. Even if after
Second round pick. No,
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it.
You can get a first for AJ, or I wouldn't trade him. I wouldn't even trade AJ if you not give me a first. He's still the best. Like, you gotta give me the respect. He's still that guy.
We'll see, but that's what some of the other writers are saying. This is not even Philadelphia. This is like around the league. This is what they're saying initially, and that could change. But I still think at worst, after next year, you can get at least a second rounder for him. But you also have to factor in, he's had a couple of nagging injuries too throughout this year and everything. So that may affect his trade value. And he's pushing 30 also. I mean, wide receivers could
Is he? I thought he was like 27.
Yeah, so I said, he'll be 28 by the time I think the season starts. So, but anyway, regardless of his age, going back to your original question, I would go for it with him one more year and just try to see how it works. Because I think the window is still as open for the Eagles as any team in the NFC.
Like I said, the window last year was 3-4 years, and after what I seen last year, it's 1 or 2 years. Like this is it, my guy. Like this coordinator thing we're gonna get into right now before we get you out of here. This coordinator thing right now, this gotta work right now. You know what I'm saying? There's no more time. We can't have another 11-6 season. And lucky that things been going, 11-6, 14-3, 11-6, 14-3. Now it's about to be, or it was like 11-6, 14-3. Then we're 11-6. So hopefully we go 14-3 right now, because this can't go on, that much longer. Like you said, all the players we have to resign, and the money caps going up. But do you want to replace these guys? Like, I heard people saying that if they had to choose today, they would hesitate to resign, Jalen Carter. They were hesitant to resign Nolan Smith. Are you really resigning a Reed Blankenship? You know what I'm saying? Like, the only guys on defense for sure that you're resigning right now, because we already resigned Bond. So the only guy for sure should be Jalen Carter, Quinyon Mitchell, and Cooper DeSheen. The rest of those cats, you know what I'm saying? Like, are they going to get re-signed? Are they coming back? Should we even waste the money to bring them back? Like, a lot of these guys can go too. You heard Trotter Jr., man. This guy was like, he's done being second team. He's done. And his dad had an interview, and this is what his dad said.
Special teams.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I was on special teams, and I remember going out there with the tools, and I said to myself, I said, you know what, man? They're going to be putting me out here with these tools. I'm going to hurt because back then, the ones would go against the twos. The two defense against the one offense. They very seldom let the ones go against the ones, right? So I said to myself, I said, tell you what, they're going to keep putting me out here with these tools. I'm hurting every starter on the team. So I said they got two options. Either they're going to start losing their starters, or they're going to get me off the twos. And I remember Andy Reid saying, hey, this period is live. Man, listen. T.O. ran a crossing route, and I happened to be waiting on the other side of him. And I intentionally went at him. And he didn't see me. And when he caught the ball and tried to turn up, I remember putting my helmet. I always tackle with my head up, right?
Yeah.
But I intentionally put my helmet right in this hip and rib area, and I tried to tear his whole hip out of socket. and when I got up off of him, he wasn't getting up. He was on the ground rolling and squirming, and all of a sudden, that anger went from, these guys might cut me, you know what I'm saying?
Like Trotter was a beast, man. Like, you know, we need that linebacker. Like that's what I'm like. Trotter Jr. might be going to approach this year, and it's like, you know, I have to start this year. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you know, I feel like with Campbell and Trotter Jr., if we draft a linebacker, that's good. Like we can let Dean go. In terms of Zach Ertz, how do you feel like about Zach Ertz? Here, Atlanta, you know, Kyle Pitts might be an option to replace him. Would you like a Kyle Pitts to replace like a Zach Ertz?
I will go all in on Kyle Pitts. Bring him home. And you know, and I know you asked about this, like with the new offensive coordinator and the way he wants to spread stuff out and motion.
And we can still draft that if he drops that tight end.
I still need to. I still think. Well, I was disappointed in them last year when they didn't resign when they didn't draft a tight end. I mean, I know, you know, it was a big drop off at the Tyler Warren, but you see the guy in Chicago, Loveland, you know, probably be great or whatever. He probably would have been great here. But anyway, I would try. Yeah, I would try like everything to try to get Kyle Pitts here because I think he would fit in well with this offense. And then bring him home, and of course, you know, try to draft a tight end. But yeah, Trot is crazy, but I like Trot Jr. and everything, and I think he's just going to stay, you know, on his team. But you know, at this point, he's not going to start over Bourne or Campbell because they have so much.
But do you think he can be that rotational linebacker when they need a breather? Because every time he tried to
I think that's fair. I didn't think about that. Yeah, especially if they don't resign Nakobe Dean, he would almost have to. But I think he would do well. Because
he would have to.
But do you think that he's played, you know, and like kind of like mop up duty and everything, he's actually played well. So
yeah, and in those games we didn't start the starters or did the starters out, he's actually got tackles.
He will make the tackle, that's for sure.
He goes side to sideline to sideline.
Yeah.
You know, and I liked him coming out of college. Like, and I really did think that we wouldn't draft another linebacker and we would let him kind of groom himself into that position. But I like the fact that we drafted him.
He'll certainly be the next man.
It makes him more hungrier. And I promise you hear his dad. With his dad talking that way, you know he's installing, but you're going to not be on the bench.
Well, he's not going to get that opportunity because they don't even hit in practice no more. So,
yeah, right. But I'm just saying, like, in terms of like, you ain't going to be no backup forever.
These practices were
days forever, my guy. You need to be ready.
He had 2 of these, 3 of these, so those are brutal. But those days are long over, so that's not coming back.
Do you think though? Do we need to? Is our linebacker core good enough without Dean?
I mean, if you certainly so, if you presume that Dean comes back, but I do also think that they're in good hands with Trotter being that third guy up because I do think he probably is ready to make that jump or make that ascension.
Yeah, that's what I want. What do you think with these cornerbacks, man? 2 All-Pros, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean.
That didn't surprise me at all, man.
Without Parker. We know Parker over there. Parker.
I think he'll be fine because Casper is he was the DB's coach. And, you know, he's along that pipeline, you know, under Parker, under Fangio, under Parker, you know, so I think they'll do just fine. And they're seasoned enough veterans to where, I mean, you don't even have to coach them up as much, you know. So
only 2 years though.
This is third year for them, but they were so good their first year. I mean, they could have easily been all pros in their rookie year. But
now that Coop's all pro at nickel. Should the Eagles move him outside?
Nah, I don't think so. Because you have to look at nickel in a different way, and quite a few people have told me this. You have to do so much as a nickel back because you're almost like a Swiss Army knife. Not only do you get to cover that slot receiver, which a lot of teams get their yards nowadays. A lot of times
Mhm.
it's not the guys on the corners. It's not the the edge receivers, the outside receivers
Yeah.
that really kill you. They'll kill you downfield, but it's those little chunk yards, like we all talk about the motion, everything that we want to
Yeah.
see with the Eagles offense. You got to have somebody to cover that. And DeJean is that guy, right? But not only that, you need him in run support, you need him to cover the tight ends, all of those guys. So again, if you move him out to corner, who are you going to get to replace him? And I think it's easier to find a CB2, much easier to find a CB2 than it is to find a good nickel.
Yeah, that's true. Because the nickel, I was reading a tweet and I was like, who's one of the most forgotten Eagles, all time? I'm just like Brandon Boykins. And you remember when Brandon Boykins probably got
You won that division for him that year with that one
when
play
when
in
he got
Dallas.
paid and became an outside corner, he was trash.
There you go. And I
You know,
told people this year, be
he
careful
was
with
the best nickel corner in the game, like easily the best.
and that was before the nickel position was sort of became a glamour position
And
or a
now it is. Like teams that got good nickels win football games. You know
absolutely.
what I'm saying? And I don't know, I feel like if you can think about all the players we brought in just to play nickel behind Coop, if we had to push him outside. Like if we can get somebody that could play nickel good too, Coop's good enough to play outside. You gotta think Coop's about to get re-signed too. Like he probably gonna want to start pushing to play outside because that's where the money's at. Like nickel cornerbacks don't get
I
as
see
paid.
somebody went in the chat and they said, "Should we draft the right tackle?" I absolutely believe they should. Draft Lane Johnson's replacement. Whether he comes back or not, whether he's healthy or not, you have to have that heir apparent in that position because he could wake up tomorrow morning and say, I'm done. But even so, no matter what Lane Johnson does, how he comes back, if he comes back, all those things, they need to draft his successor. Absolutely agree.
That's definitely a fact. Stalin, like we talked about, Stalin he got his run game coordinating taken away from him. Like
Listen, whatever. I think even though he's young and inexperienced, I think let Mannion come in here and redefine this offense,
that's
retool
what
this.
we asked you. How do you feel about Mannion
Yeah,
and the other guy, Grizzard or whatever his name
Grizzard,
is?
yes. So yeah, Josh
Grizzard.
Grizzard. So I don't know a lot about Grizzard. He is highly touted, but I know a lot more about Mannion, all of his assistant, all of the coaches that he's coached under, even though it's been a short time. LaFleur, McVay, this time, this week, Super Bowl week, they're raving.
And all
Yeah, they're raving about him. And from what you saw this past week with the East West Shrine game, him, being the play caller and the designer of that game. And I know it's college, I know it's different, but OC is a young man's game for one. And and I'm gonna put this in a Jalen Hurts aspect, right? Look at Jalen. I wrote about this. Look at who all his coaches were, starting with his dad, being a coach's
Mhm.
son. Of course, he's a son of two educators. Both his mom and his dad. Right? He's
Mhm.
double degreed himself. He's played under Nick Saban. He's
Mhm.
played under Lincoln Riley,
Mhm.
and to some degree, to Brian Dable, also
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin. Right? So, do you think? And I'm not just asking you; I'm asking the entire fan base. Do you think at this point in Jalen Hurts' career and all of his offensive coordinators, all of his head coaches, that he doesn't recognize what good coaching looks like, what he expects from a coach. And do you think that from what he's also accomplished in this league, that he doesn't desire, or also he doesn't deserve premium coaching? Forever what you want him to be, forever how you criticize him. And the team overall. I mean, AJ Brown's still here. Devontae Smith, as you so eloquently mentioned earlier. Everybody in the offense, Saquon Barkley. These guys have earned and deserve premium coaching. And I think it just comes down to, and like you said, I do believe that Mannion has to, hit the ground running. We'll see some of that we'll see how that goes with his inexperience, because it'll be the first time I'm calling. But I do think a young guy with new ideas it's desperately needed in here. But going back to Jalen for a minute and the entire team, I mean, if this offense is just even competent, they get back to the Super Bowl, I think. And going back to Jalen, he just wants somebody that he can respect and somebody who knows what he's doing.
He didn't respect him from the first interview.
Yeah, exactly, right. And he was trying to be diplomatic about it, if you
remember, but
trying to be cool about it, because he was kind of caught off guard about it. But he told you then that Patullo may not be ready for the job. And most of the media,
think about the Eagles right now. Oh, go ahead.
No, most of the media ignored that. It's okay. Well, yeah, he just kind of gave an awkward answer or whatever. But they really didn't dig into the possibility that Patullo was not ready, even though Jalen said in so many words that he may not be.
Yeah. But these guys, right, man.
I'm sorry, one more thing. Go back to what I said initially. You have to know, and you have to know Jalen at this point, and from all of his experience, that he knows what good coaching looks like.
Facts. But what I'm saying with this main hire and the Grizzard is they kind of doubled down on it. And they gave us what we wanted at the same time. Like everybody was pushing for this veteran player coach that was a head coach that maybe, kind of like your Vic Fangio. That's a veteran that wants to just go to coordinate, go back to coordinating and chill out.
That's not realistic on the OC side. That's
not realistic. It wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't realistic. But the fact that you got a first-time play caller and followed it up with an offensive coordinator as your special, your passing game coordinator. Like that guy has called plays. That guy, you think 2 years ago when he was the offensive coordinator for Tampa Bay Buccaneers, this guy was carving us up. We used to hate it because when we played Tampa Bay, that's what they were our kryptonite. It's because they throw the ball so fast. The play scheme is so broken up so fast that Baker had his best year on them.
You saw those bootlegs, you saw those, yeah.
It's just open up. We used to hate playing Tampa Bay. I still hate playing Tampa Bay.
They were a pain in the ass.
It's because it's so fast. Our D line never gets a chance to get there.
I couldn't stand Mayfield because number one, he's a pain in the ass, and he was tough as a bad state.
Yeah.
And
then now you got him to be the backup to the offensive coordinator, basically.
And that gives us
quarterback coach. He's the offensive pass game coordinator. So they're working together this whole time.
He's essentially that senior assistant or that experience behind Mannion. So and I do like
coming into the season.
Yeah.
You got a guy to fall back on, to kind of correct you in the meeting room, so it doesn't have to come out on the field on Sundays. And I really respect that. The Eagles did it that way. They did it the right way. If you're gonna get a young guy that never called play, but he's a freaking talented mind, and then you get a guy that kind of like your Kevin Patullo in terms of offensive coordinator.
Yeah, Grizzard.
He definitely knows how to scheme up pass plays, put him in his rightful position. And then you got a, up and coming coordinator, mix those two things together. And what Eagle fans don't understand is if we got a Daboll, if we got a McDaniels, if they came in here, we won a Super Bowl or even went deep into the playoffs, they're gone next year. Head coaches again. That's what they want to do in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Like they would have been gone. These guys, Minion, I don't think so. I think it'd be like a 2-3 year thing before he goes. You know
It could
why? He might
be
be hot, but if he's the guy that they talk about him being, he's gonna want him more than a year of doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like he seems like he understands the progression and he wants to go through the progression and get there. And I know money can make your face.
Yeah, it's rare because he would be as young as Sean McVay would be when he became a head coach, and a lot of teams don't take that type of risk. So it is pretty logical to think that, man, you could be here more than a
At
year.
least 2 years.
It would be ideal for Eagles fans.
Huh?
I say it would be ideal.
Yeah. You know, I'm just saying, like, I feel like, you know, and then you got the guy, Gazard, that, yeah, he didn't have the best year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers of offensive coordinator. But if you're underneath this guy and both of you guys are working together to make a great offense, which got all the best players, it's like now if he goes out 2 years now, right? And you keep this guy as your pass game coordinator, you could promote him to the offensive coordinator in 2 years. And it's kind of like you're keeping the same track going. So like the Eagles made a play right now that could literally set us up for the next 3 to 4 years in terms of keeping Jalen in the same style system, which he's been dying for, been begging for. You know what I'm saying? Like if you got one of the big name guys, they would have been out after 1 year. You got a possibility right now. You can keep the same system because you made this offense coordinator a pass game coordinator for his first year. So the same system 2-3 years down the road.
And this is a thing that a lot of people are missing. I believe that he wants to improve himself. He wants to be better. I mean, he's going to do what it takes to win, but he wants to be better. And he wants to, like I said, a couple years ago, he wants to get out of his straitjacket. And, a lot of this is on Sirianni too. How much is he going to set back and give Mannion an offense? And I believe he has to. But, and then people are going to say, okay, well, what does he do as a head coach? That's totally fine. There's plenty of de facto CEO head coaches, however you want to diagnose it. Work on the attention to detail, work on the penalties, work on those type of things. Be that type of head coach, and he'll be just fine. Let Mannion come in here with the new ideas and see what we have.
Because all we need is a little bit like, I think sometimes people think that you need the best coordinator. The talent we have on offense, you don't need the best coordinator in the NFL.
Like I said, the offense is just competent, or they just get into the top 10.
Bare minimum. KP was not bare minimum. He was trash. You just need a competent.
He's an over his head. A lot of other people are saying it, and I don't understand how a lot of my colleagues kind of went to bat for him, and that kind of makes you think, maybe that's where a lot of the leaks came from and everything. Right. But yeah, I'm not afraid to say it. He was in over his head. The film shows it. The film was, all them damn hits, people were calling it anywhere from a vanilla offense, a Mickey Mouse offense, high school, Madden, whatever you call it. They were calling everything but a pro style offense. So
exactly.
He had to take.
And you got too many pro players. He was just I think KP was like, I got all pros on my offense. I don't really have to try. I'm just gonna go call whatever the hell I want to call, and they're gonna produce for me. But this is the NFL. Or I'm gonna call the same place they did last year, and they're gonna produce for me. This is the NFL. It evolves every year.
And that could have, and again, that could have been partly Sirianni's fault, and he has to own that too. But again,
and that's why I didn't want nobody related to Sirianni in this search. I wanted that, and I'm happy the Eagles got two guys that are totally not in his tree, not in his freaking spectrum. You know what I'm saying? Like because
And that's
I
okay.
wanted 0% to do with Sirianni, where I feel like Sirianni's gonna punk him for the job. And I feel like this move kind of makes it so. I'm not saying Sirianni can't do it. We are gonna have to wait and see what happens because he is the head coach. But if he says and gives all autonomy to these guys, we're gonna have a whole new offense next year, which we've been needing for like every year, even since the first Super Bowl. Like the offense was good. We went to Super Bowl, but it was still kind of dry. You know what I'm saying? Even Kellen Moore, Kellen Moore had to switch things up, to adapt, once he was doing like Nick Sirianni stuff, kind of
But they
blended
got
it
it done.
together.
But they got it
But
done.
they got it
140
done.
in
But now the next evolution is realizing,
NFL record. Yeah, yeah.
but the next evolution is knowing that you got Jalen Hurts ready to learn and do more. You know what I'm saying? And like it's time to take him to that next level. Jalen stopped running because he was not going to sacrifice his body for a shit offense.
I like
And
how
no
you.
one realized that. Patula had a shit offense, and he wasn't going to sacrifice. You heard him saying halfway through the season, like, "Well, if this is this is what they want to call it. This is not what we're going to do. I'm not going to say nothing about it." And it was like he thought he was trying to like defend Patula, but in reality, he was telling you like, "This guy's trash. If I got to run this, I'm not going to get hurt doing it." You know what I'm saying? Like I want to win, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to get hurt doing it. I make $255 million. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a boss. And he got demoted
He's
too.
eligible for an extension, by the way.
What do you think? I heard Shady McCoy come on here say that he don't think they're re-signing Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. Well, Shady at this point, he don't know whether the scratches Warchawan is behind. So I wouldn't take anything seriously. So my thing is, I don't know if it's going to be this offseason, but they're going to re-sign Jalen. I mean, he makes the franchise.
Oh boy, baby, yeah. Oh, that's a tough fight.
They won a ton of games, and Jeffrey Lurie loves him to death. Everybody in that building may not love him to death, but Jeffrey Lurie does.
Okay, so now you heard that was the thing they said today too, was like a list came out and Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni on the hot seat this year. Do you think,
I'm gonna tell you, that's bullshit.
both of them are on the hot seat or just Nick?
Sirianni maybe to a degree, but Hurts ain't going nowhere. Anybody who tells you that, they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Hurts not going nowhere. Sirianni on the hot seat though.
He's not. That's. Was that? Can you curse on here? I don't know.
Yeah, go ahead. I've been cursing the whole time. Like
I didn't even know. Listen,
I wanted to be for kids too, but like at the end of the day, we're grown adults. If you want to stay out,
I'm gonna tell you,
to be raw about it, the show.
That's sports radio bullshit. It's conjecture. They don't like Jalen. They don't want to give Jalen credit. That's bullshit. They don't know what the F they talking about. I'm telling you that now. I'm telling you on your show right now here live. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Hell yeah. Because Jalen not going nowhere, man. He's too good. But Nick can, because he hires the coordinators just to try to be in control of the offense. And this is going to
you have to understand. Jalen Hurts is Jeffrey Lurie's Moby Dick, right? And you know how the story goes in Moby Dick, right? It's you're chasing a whale that you never that's not there or you never get, right? So he is his Moby Dick. When I'm saying that, he is his Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Back in, what was that, 2012, 2011, when Wilson was drafted? Right. Lurie wanted to draft Russell Wilson, but Seattle got him before then. And that's where they, when Jalen Hurts came up again, and it wasn't a consensus when he was drafted in 2020. But Doug liked him, Doug Peterson liked him. And Jeffrey Lurie definitely wanted him. And look at all of the dividends that Jalen Hurts has paid since then.
Yeah.
It was a little shaky.
Jalen said he had a down year, but like he had the most passing touchdowns he'd ever had. He had a higher percentage than he's ever had. It's like he's not going, I understand the man was going like backwards, But he's not definitely not going backwards. He's actually getting better as a passer
At the end of the
every
day,
year
he
he's
gets
in
it
the league.
done. At the end of the day, he gets it done. Look at all the other quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, he is really,
This could be a quarterback conversation. Cam Ward.
yeah, he is the only. That'll be interesting to see, right? With Dable coaching him, but he is what? Jalen Hurts is only the and I tweeted all this so you can go back and see it and everything. Just look at what he's accomplished as one of the few quarterbacks who has ascended, going to multiple Super Bowls in this past decade.
I think this was it.
Yeah, it's only really been what? See,
Look
look
at
at
that.
those.
Total rushing touchdowns in the playoffs and the big games. Like, look at him. Jalen Hurts is well above everybody and just rushing
And he also,
touchdowns.
and he's
And then you want to
still
go
the
like,
Josh Allen could have broke this record this year, but he's still the only quarterback in NFL postseason history with at least 10 passing touchdowns and 10 rushing touchdowns. Only
yeah,
quarterback in NFL history.
Jalen wins. So I've always been that. That's what's
You may not like how he wins. You may
Hurts
not like
fans.
how
Like,
it looks. You may not like how it looks when he wins.
y'all want him
may
to
not
go
be the
for 4,000
quarterback
yards.
you want. He may not be the quarterback that you want as far as wins is concerned, but he does win. And you may not, and people just got to be. I just want people
Because there's a lot of games where it's like he lights it up when the time is right. You know what I'm saying? The game.
I mean, the bigger.
Like,
I mean,
he
yeah,
does what he's supposed to do.
playoffs.
Protect the football. And then if a game gets in that situation where it's starting to get a little too tight, he does what he got to do to get you out. Like, that's like you need. Like, it ain't about like having 4,000 or 5,000 yard passing. It's not about having 27, 30, 40 touchdowns. It's not about none of that. Yeah, we love when Brady and Manning back in the day, kind of like when the Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds, like Mike McGuire home run was going. You want to see the next guy do it, but at the end of the day, it's about winning football games. Tom Brady, like I tell everybody, Tom Brady did not throw for that many yards until he got Randy Moss on his football team. Like, he wasn't a guy that was throwing out five.
He was a game manager for the first 5 years of his career.
Yeah, man. Like, come on. And that's what Jalen Hurts is. Now, maybe,
Brady loves Hurts, by the way. Brady loves Hurts. Brady loves Hurts, by the way.
He loves him. Manning, dude, I was so awesome. Like, and that was so funny. Like, Jalen Hurts was like, they asked Jalen Hurts, who are your, who's the quarterback you looked up to? This is what he said.
What are some of the greats that you looked up to when you were trying to get to this moment today?
I mean, the older I got, I began to have a different perspective, or I guess a more broader view on it. So going back to Randall Cunningham and what he was for the position, Michael Vick, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Steve Young. I mean, I'm still always digging, still always trying to learn as much as I can from those guys.
Yeah, so there
and
you go.
He does. What he said?
So he studies those guys, and those guys pour into him. I mean, he came up through the Manning camp.
And the only one on that list, like, I probably would have said Joe Montana over.
And Montana likes Hurts.
Over Young. Young. And Young was good, but I feel like if you want to give me, if I had to give you the best 5 quarterbacks I know of since I've been alive for a while, I would say Peyton Manning's the best quarterback I've ever seen. Period. Like, pure quarterback, Peyton Manning. He changed the game in terms of, like, he called his own plays. He did what he wanted to do. And Peyton Manning's the best quarterback, I think. Like, just pure passing. And it wasn't just like the skill. He had the physique for it too, like the 6'5" tall quarterback, so he can see the whole field type quarterback. A lot of things that Jalen Hurts struggle is because he's only like 6 foot tall, 6'1". He's a short quarterback that can't see over his offensive line. So that means things need to be precise for him. And that's the biggest thing that they hate on him for. But it's like, come on.
Shorter than him. He's going to the Hall of Fame. Wilson is shorter than him. He's going to the Hall of Fame. So that's not even a big deal.
But I'm saying, like, in terms of, like, his passing, like,
that's all semantics, man. That's all to
You
make.
know,
I've seen
but you
6'6".
think about it, you got 6'8" linemen, like you can't really
I've
see.
seen
Like, if
6'5".
you look at Brees, how he made it, Peyton is one of the greatest coaches of all time, where players were schemed open. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that you can't do it. It's like if you are that short guy, you need an offensive coordinator to scheme the plays open. You
This
know what I'm saying?
is
Like those guys had offensive coordinators that schemed the game open for them. That's why they were able to still throw. Like Brees was able to go to 5,000 yards because he had Sean Payton.
here's the thing
Payton just
about
made
Peyton Manning.
Bo Nix look awesome.
I'm gonna give you a little nugget about Peyton Manning. I don't know how many people know this, and it's not to disparage him or any way. What if I told you what Peyton Manning did in his career is not anything new and is not anything innovative? He may have taken it to another level, but what he did not invent or he did not change. Because I'm gonna tell you why.
Right.
So his head coach, Tony Dungy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows Tony Dungy as a defensive guy. Tony Dungy was a college quarterback at the University of Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
You know who his offensive coordinator was then? And Tom Moore, who was Peyton Manning's offensive coordinator. Tony Dungy ran the same exact offense at the University of Minnesota as Peyton Manning did with the Colts. The whole check with me and calling everything at the line and all that stuff. That is a offense that is over 50 years old because of Tom Moore, not necessarily Peyton Manning. Now, again, I'm not disparaging him. He took it to the next level. But it's the exact same offense Tony Dungy ran. Tony Dungy was a great college quarterback, but because of racism, he was forced to play defensive back when he got to the NFL. So that's just a little nugget with that. I just wanted to share.
That's a good nugget, but everybody's seen Peyton his first year.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. But
4,000 yards in the league
he
and touchdowns
had to be good at it. And also, he didn't win his first playoff game until he was age 30.
Yeah, but I'm saying
compare that to what
my guy. Like
compare that to what, but he also had Marvin Harris.
He had 4,000 yards every year.
He had, but he didn't win the playoff game. A couple games he got shut out.
Defense, like I feel like this. When you're talking about individual awards, regular season matters. If you're talking about Super Bowls, team match. I know they like to put it.
It's ultimately a team game when you get right down to it. I mean, we like to
Tom Brady, like you said.
It's a team game at the end of the game.
Yeah, Tom Brady, like we said, he was a game manager. Their defense won Super Bowls. Corey Dillon, that running game, won Super Bowls. And to be honest with you, Vinatieri won Super Bowls. Vinatieri went to the Colts and then won a Super Bowl with the Colts. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's about the whole team in terms of like Super Bowls. You're going down to the last two teams.
Jason Kelsey said it's the whole team.
Because a lot of kicking. Vinatieri won what? 4 Super Bowls, 5 Super Bowls?
Yeah, I think he got 5 rings, 4 or 5 rings.
Yeah, because he went over there with Patriots. I always used to say that about Tom Brady being the best. Like, if you think about it, Tom Brady never did nothing special at the end of those Super Bowls. He got a field goal range. And last I checked,
he does have 2 MVPs.
The field goals were by Vinatieri, and they were over 50 yards. It wasn't like he drove down and they had a nice little 25-yarder field goal. Like, he was like 50 yards plus. Like, he didn't do nothing special on offense.
I mean, he has 2 Super Bowl MVPs, though.
Huh?
He has 2 Super Bowl MVPs, though.
They give it to the quarterback most of the time. You know, we're just starting to get into the area where they're trying to give it to other people. Like, in those days, they're just giving it to the quarterback anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, they weren't going to give it to the kicker.
Well, some people thought that Jalen didn't deserve the MVP last year, so.
No, Jalen both should have. We should have won the first time. He should have got the MVP that time, and he definitely should have got the MVP this time. Like, the dagger, that guy, like, Jalen, like, we're going to end this. And the fact, like, last season with Jalen, when he was like, "Are you sure? Are you done? You don't want to keep going up?" Like, he was in a game mode.
He
like,
to leave no witnesses nor survivors.
He was in that mode. And I really feel like Nick's too soft of a coach for us because he plays this whole sportsmanship too much. Like, go dominate. You know what I'm saying? You know how Bill Belichick got all the rings? If Bill Belichick never called off the dogs. He never called off the dogs. whether they beat you by 50 or they beat you by 2. He was going full steam at your ass the whole time, and that's why he's sitting there with 7 or 8 rings right now, because he didn't give a damn. His job was to win, and Sirianni got the winning pedigree, and Jalen and Sirianni probably the best 2 win percentage, coach quarterback combinations in the league. But Sirianni does that little gamesman shit.
I found this on the web.
He
I don't
doesn't
have an answer for that.
for what?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's in that gamemanship, and you can't be that way if you're a head coach. I feel like you need to be for the throat every single game.
Mm-hmm.
Score as many points as you can. Like we always see. Why do you think we lost a lot of games? Because we were up early, and then you take your foot off the gas. You take that aggression out of your team, and then you get your ass kicked at the end. No, stay your foot on the gas the whole 60 minutes. How you gonna preach one of your star players and players to play a 60-minute football game, but just because you're up, just cancel that and be like, okay, we can chill out now as a coach. No, it doesn't go together. You're telling these guys to play 60 minutes. Let them play all 60 minutes, full go, scoring touchdowns, stopping them. You know what I'm saying? Like starters in the game, the whole game. I remember back in the day, starters, but second streamers didn't even play unless it was dire need. Unless someone got hurt. You know what I'm saying? The starters played the whole damn game. That's how it should be every single game. We play too much money as fans. These players get paid way too much money not to see them go 150 for 60 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole time.
Yeah, I agree.
So I know I'm gonna get you out of here. We're gonna give you a little takeover. Tell me how you feel about Van Jill staying, my guy. What was the rumor? You were inside the locker room. Tell me about the Van Jill thing, because they say he's considered staying. I feel like it's a good thing he saved our defense for this year, and it's a huge impact, because if he were to leave right now, it would be catastrophic to this defense. I don't care. I don't want no Schwartz. I don't want no McDermott. I want none of those guys, because those guys are good defensive coordinators, but they do not run the same system as our offense. Our defense is built for right now. So it would be a horrible decision.
Well, here's the thing. I can't speak on the rumors in that aspect, but my thought of it is that there's a report came out that he wanted to retire after the Super Bowl, right? And he was convinced to come back. So my concern about that is a couple concerns. So when someone, and I've worked with so many people who have now since been retired, just in different aspects, different companies and everything like that. But when someone has retirement on their mind, they have one foot out the door. They already have one foot out the door. So I'm kind of concerned that, coming back this year, will he be all in and all focused? I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that. But the bittersweet part about that is, if he was talking retirement and you allow someone like a Christian Parker out the door and not allow someone like him to succeed as defensive coordinator, again, you talk about coaching trees. Parker is part of that Fangio coaching tree. He's very well qualified to take over. You talk about Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, all of them. They all rave about Christian Parker. Slay, when he was here, all those guys rave about Parker as a coach. He is one of the hottest ascending defensive coaches period, in the NFL. And I don't know how this is going to be as far as black coaches in the NFL, but he will be more than qualified to be a NFL head coach someday. But to let him out of the building, knowing what we know about Fangio's uncertainty, I think that's an issue for me. But I do think if Fangio leaves, someone like Clint Hurt should be considered for that job, and not get somebody from the outside, like you said, of a Swartz or and it's signed. He's already signed with the Packers and everything. So, but that's my take on it all.
Yeah, I agree with you. It'd be Clint Hurt, and the fact that he's staying another year. If Clint Hurt doesn't take that Miami job, or one of these offers to be defense coordinator, I think it's because he knows he will be the successor, next year for Fangio. And I think that's the right move. And that's that's the Eagles having that backup plan a year in advance if he doesn't take one of DC's job. He deserves a DC job. He was a DC before. You know what I'm saying? He did a great job with Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, all the Milt Williams, all the big boys up front, for this defense. That's been a staple of this defense for years. So I definitely will want to see him get his opportunity to be at DC again. If these guys don't get him, I don't know how many DC coordinator jobs are still open, but if he end up standing for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, next season, the Eagles can feel comfortable letting Vic Fangio go, especially another year. You're talking about like 3 years with a guy, being a DC, being a defensive line coach for him, that he pretty much knows everything. He was running the system for 3 years. It'd be easier for him to just, and plus he want to add his own wrinkles to it, but it'd be easy for him to pick up the system and go.
Exactly.
So, but hey, man, we almost 2 hours deep, man. I'll let you go. I had so many other things to talk about. We kind of touched on things. We kind of stayed longer on things. But, hey, that means we can come back again, again sometime this offseason and talk some more Eagles football. Hey, let everybody know what you're going to be up to this offseason. Who you think is going to win the Super Bowl, and give me a score prediction, and we can get out of here.
Well, I think it's going to be pretty much a low-scoring defensive struggle. I think it'd probably be a game in the 20s, if that. But I got to give Seattle the edge because I really like their defense. I like what Smith and Jigba does. I think they run the game enough. And if Sam Darnold doesn't turn it over, I think they're going to beat the Patriots. But Patriots, they're a juggernaut too. They're both 14-3. So I think these are really the two best teams in the league. But if Drake May can, put some offense together and get the ball to Diggs and guys like Stevenson and they can run the ball, I think they'll make it a close game. But I really like Seattle in this game. And, we'll be maybe talking about Sam Darnold as a Super Bowl champion. But
let's go USC. I'm a Trojan fan, baby. So I want to see my boy, the big cat on the D line, and my boy Sam Darnold go get that championship, baby.
Right on. Yeah.
They're going to win that this year, man. Like I said, and then make up for the mistake that Russell Wilson made when he threw the pass on the first, the 1 yard line when he should have gave it to the beast mode. Seattle finally get that.
I think they finally get their second trophy. So,
yeah. But hey, thanks again, my guy. Everybody go follow this guy, man, on Twitter, on all social media platforms. Spivey is definitely in there talking to the people that we want to be talking to. So, hey, much love to you. Salute. And we definitely do something again this offseason, if you're available, my guy. So,
absolutely. Thanks again for having me. It's been fun.
No problem, my guy. So, we out. Peace.
How about our quarterback? How about our quarterback? Your quarterback.